Hello, people. Welcome back to Mac Music Review. Today we're looking at an album. Before I hop in the review, just want to say there's going to be some stuff down in the description. If you want to know the channel works, all that good stuff is going to be down in the description. Today we are looking at the album Night Visions by Imagine Dragons, and this is the album cover. Night Visions is the debut album for Imagine Dragons. The popularity of this album is almost hard to fathom. It's almost hard to fully put your finger on just how huge this album was for Imagine Dragons. It was the first thing they've ever done, their first album ever, and it had 4 songs which became hits to different extents, but 4 hits. 4 really big hits with millions and with hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. This album had the hits, Radioactive was the biggest one, and then On Top of the World, another really popular song, one of their most popular songs. It's Time, another extremely popular song, and the song Demons, which got tons of airplay. I mean, this album was huge, just really insanely commercially successful. It might be one of the most commercially successful debut albums of all time. 4 hits, 4 significant hits that you've probably heard before if you listen to a lot of music. Even if you don't listen to a ton of music, you probably heard these songs. They're huge, and it really put Imagine Dragons on the map. And today, Imagine Dragons are one of the most commercially successful alternative bands. They are the most commercially successful alternative band of all time, with the most amount of hits. And they're huge. Imagine Dragons are insanely popular and successful. This debut album has 11 tracks, and they're all fairly, most of these songs are pretty radio friendly, and their song lengths, they're like 3 to 4 minutes long. But the last song on this album is nearly 9 minutes long. It's kind of a double song. It's called Nothing Left to Say /Rocks. And it's the longest song the band has ever made. It's really interesting that I view Imagine Dragons as this really commercial band. They make music for the radio. But if you really look at this album and look at the popular songs on this thing, most of it, like Radioactive, it's a very unusual song. It's not something you would expect to be a radio hit, to be a popular song. It's very strange. But this album shows that, they did the last song on this thing is like 8 minutes long. They occasionally do branch out and do experimental creative stuff. They even did that on Evolve. They did their own interesting creative sort of thing. But, yeah. The last song on it is really long. This album is about 44 minutes, a decent amount of music. Musically, tonally, lyrically, Night Visions is all over the place. I would say lyrically is definitely their least, and lyrically and musically, it is their least focused album. Which actually doesn't hurt the album, because of the general quality of these songs, but let me just go over some of the songs. And Radioactive is the first song on this thing. It's extremely loud, aggressive, huge, crazy loud and epic and distorted and really just a crazy rock song. It's a pretty dark sounding. You also have songs like It's Time, which is really just a feel-good anthem. Tiptoe and Underdog are they really just sound like indie pop songs. Indie pop production with kind of, Imagine Dragons vocals and a little bit of Imagine Dragons thrown in there, but they could come from Passion Pit or some other Swimming with Dolphins or some other indie pop band. The electronic elements and all that kind of stuff. They have heavy use of electronic pop and stuff like that. Demons is another really dark song. It's about look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide, is what it says in the chorus. It's about actually you look like you're okay, but really you have all these dark things that you've dealt with. You have had a bad past, and it's really pretty powerful lyrics, especially if you watch the music video. I mean, to really get the glimpse of the meaning, to really understand the meaning of this song. On Top of the World is about the most joyful, happy song. It really doesn't get more happy sounding than this. It really doesn't get happier and more upbeat than this. It is just a flat out fun song. Absolutely no elements of anything that's not fun. The whole song is just happy. The music, to the clapping is part of the music, and the wind and the whistling. Oh man, it's like sickeningly happy and upbeat. And then you have songs like Hear Me and Bleeding Out, which are very dark lyrics. Bleeding Out is pretty slow. It's literally, he said, talking about bleeding out, about dying. Hear Me, he also has this imagery of dying, of, can anybody hear me? And then it's like calling out for help and stuff like that. Nothing Left to Say rocks is also kind of more of a downbeat song. It is a little bit, it does get a little bit energetic, but it's mostly downbeat. And so you have tons of different stuff going on in this album. There's so much going on in this album. I am really surprised with the quality of this album. When I look at Imagine Dragons, specifically because of their last two albums, Origins and Evolve, I see a band which is just really popular and that just really is making songs for the radio or whatever, and just, you know, trying to be commercially successful. But then if you look back on their first two albums, they actually have lots of really, really quality stuff. Really, almost every song on this album is a highlight. There are two really terrible songs. I'm going to go over them right now. And they are On Top of the World and Every Night. On Top of the World is sickeningly happy. It's repetitive. It's annoying. It's really annoying. I really just can't stand this song. It's dumb. It's a dumb song. And then Every Night is just so annoyingly repetitive, and it doesn't sound good. That is just an annoying, it's like a pop song with just how repetitive it is, and it's so annoying, and it doesn't sound good. Besides that, this album has a ton of really quality, really good songs. I really can't deny that Radioactive is a great song. This song is really creative, it's really original, it's really insane, and it really just stands out with how crazy and insane it sounds, and just how, like, it's like apocalypse, it's like end of the world kind of vibes going on in the music, and that's literally in the lyrics and the imagery. Well, that's another thing I have to say about this. The lyrics and the imagery are really great. Really, it's a really great song. Tiptoe is a really great indie pop song. It sounds like an indie pop song, and it's like a really good indie pop song, just really fun, really enjoyable. It's Time is a feel-good anthem that just soars. It just works. It does everything a feel-good anthem should do. It just really makes you feel great, makes you feel like you're ready to take on the world. It is a great song. Demons has really great lyrics, as I touched on. Actually really powerful. The music really elevates the seriousness of these lyrics and the greatness of this songwriting, and the vocal performance. Dan Reynolds really just kind of really projects. He really screams and really, but not like, it's not like metal, it's not at all like metal screaming, but he really is passionate about what he's saying a lot of the time, and he's a very sincere person in real life, and it really translates into this music and his singing on this album. Demons is a really, really good song. Amsterdam is just plain cool. It's just flat out good. This song just flat out just sounds awesome. Just really cool. The lyrics are cool. Like, this whole song just sounds cool. Hear Me is a really, really good song. The guitar on this, the effects, like the musical effects they throw in, just work super duper well. And the guitar is just really good, and the singing is good, and the lyrics are good, and the music, it's a great song. Hear Me is just really good. Underdog, once more, an extremely successful indie pop song. It just sounds really cool. It heavily reminds me of Passion Pit. The music really reminds me of Passion Pit, and that's very positive memories because that's one of my favorite bands, and it's a great sounding song. The last song, Nothing Left to Say, is really surprisingly good. It's 8 minutes, and it doesn't really overstay its welcome. It really just sounds great. This song, there's not much to say about it other than it just sounds really good and it works very well. It's a really good closer for the album. I am surprised with how good this album is. Honestly, it's very surprising. Yeah, I'm gonna give Night Visions 4 stars out of 5. It's really, really good. The only reason the score is not higher is because I absolutely hate the songs On Top of the World and Every Night. They are so dumb. I hate those songs. And Bleeding Out is not great. It's good. The lyrics are good. The sincerity of the singing is good. Just musically, it doesn't sound all that great. But, yeah, this is a great album. It honestly is. The debut album from Imagine Dragons. Like, the most commercially successful alternative band. They did, a great album. Thank you for watching the video.